At this point, Disney has no shortage of theme parks around the globe. I've gotten to visit the French version myself in July of 2022, and it was quite the experience. Sacré bleu! Disneyland Paris consists of two parks, Parc Disneyland and Parc Walt Disney Studios. They both feature outstanding theming and otherworldly experiences. That especially goes for the bigger of the two parks, which is grand and all about classic Disney. Together, they have 7 roller coasters, and I think most enthusiasts are pretty quick to choose which park has their favorites.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland.
Give me that shit! Today, I'll be counting down my top 7 roller coasters at Europe's own Disneyland. So hop in the camping van and let's get underway. At number 7 is Casey Jr. Le Petit Train du Sucre. I should probably mention that my French is worse than horrid.
Why do you think I have this outrageous accent?
This is the world's only powered coaster from Vekoma, and it is also considered the first ever coaster to feature onboard audio. And that onboard audio really is a wonder and fully immerses you into what feels like an old Disney cartoon. I love the jingle. The ride itself isn't worth writing home about though. The layout itself is extremely terrain based, just like a real train. And it never really goes up and down, and mostly just features a lot of forceless turns and zigzagging. Granted, you do feel some nice soothing here and there, and the ride is obviously butter smooth. The main thing about this, outside of the awesome jingle, is the beauty of the scenery, including the small castle, the bridges. There's also friendly waving to the people on the boat ride who had to wait much longer than you for their ride. It's a really enjoyable and gentle ride that even your immobile grandma could join you on. Number 6 is RC Racer. Do you like pirate ship rides? Do you like Hot Wheels? Well, look no further than RC Racer. This big orange skating ramp is fun for the whole family. Let's ring down and immerse ourselves in the Toy Story world. Hop in the car and back and forth we go, and that's it. This intimate surf rider's got weak launches and 2 beyond vertical spikes that are surprisingly underwhelming.
The fuck?
To be honest, RC Racer doesn't do a whole lot for me overall. It's a fun ride. The motion itself is fun. You get up high and you experience the thrill that way. But the actual forces, yeah, they're extremely minor. The people there seem to have a blast on this ride, however, and even though it isn't my cup of tea, it's still a pretty cool ride and has some pretty sick theming. Number 5 is Crush's Coaster. This Maurer spinning coaster is a major step up from the prior ride. It features the same layout as the standard SC2000 variations that you can find in many places around the world, except this one also has an extended part where it features a teeny weeny cute little lift hill,
I'm adorable,
and an outside drop, followed by a dark ride sequence before the initiation of the familiar layout. The theming here is just great. There are many cool set pieces, especially in the dark ride sections where there's lights and a bit of a story as well.
I will tell you a good story. I went to get that fish.
And the seagulls in the queue line never fail to crack me up. They sound just like me when I see a piece of cake. In the portion of the standard layout, it's also quite thrilling. It's a layout full of snappy and laterally charged elements, and without too much spinning to make me return the cake I ate. Granted, the theming in here is severely turned down. Instead, it's just replaced with cha-cha-cha lighting. But that's great too, and I thoroughly enjoy this ride. It's got good thrill, it's got cool theming, and generally Maurer spinners are just better than Gerstlauers. Yeah, I said it. Number 4 is Indiana Jones trademark Il Tombe du Péril. This is the first of Intamin's multi-inversion coaster line. Ironic considering it's only got one inversion.
It was all a lie.
Which is also suspiciously similar to a Swashcup loop. Oh, and the entire layout is also ripped off of Pinfari. But who cares? This ride slaps. It seems that enthusiasts and Disney fans have started trashing this ride as if it was an SLC. Well, I say take a chill pill, dudes. Take a chill pill! Because you've definitely not ridden Condor. Indiana Jones does feature some headbanging in a couple of the transitions, but really nothing painful, and it's honestly quite smooth in between. Furthermore, the drops have great airtime pops, and the loop and several of the turns are pretty darn forceful. The theming only completes the journey, or adventure, I suppose is the correct phrase for this scenario. I generally give big thumbs up for this cool and intense ride, even though it's got some minor pacing issues. Number 3 is Big Thunder Mountain. We've reached the big 3. The ones that people actually talk about. I think it's safe to say that Disney are pretty proud of their Mine Train rides, considering they dedicated an entire island to this one. Built by Vekoma, Big Thunder Mountain is a smooth and thrilling journey with a buttload of fun shoveled into it. And completed with outstanding theming. This is easily the most well-themed coaster at Disneyland Paris. The entire Wild West scenario is flat out fantastic and completely immersive. Small details like dynamite and general details are only boosting this perfection. The layout itself isn't high intensity, but it features turns with laterals and snappy transitions even, as well as milder airtime, and it's just generally fun. It's got an amazing sense of speed. Did I mention it's also super smooth? Because it is. While it's not the most intense mine train out there, it's nowhere near something like Colorado Adventure. You could still easily argue for this being the best mine train ride ever made. It's bloody brilliant, mate. The best part is the final tunnel, which just keeps going down and down a long straight drop in complete darkness, which in this case was scary, because you could feel the speed increase forever without having any idea of when it'll hit a turn. Genius, I say.
Brilliant, I tell you. Genius, I say.
Number 2 is Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain. I've never ridden the original Space Mountain, nor was this ever like the American versions, because this is a looping coaster, and I can still relate to some of the old theming because some parts of the queue line are literally still the old theme. Disney were a little too lazy there.
Man, I'm not trying to scam anybody here.
Otherwise, this unique Vekoma electric winch launch coaster is now themed to my favorite sci-fi series. That includes onboard audio with John Williams' fire music, and several cool effects throughout the ride. Stuff like these TIE fighters were a great addition, especially while going through the corkscrew. Very creative. Speaking of inversions, it has 3. The cutback and sidewinder are both fast and really intense. And the corkscrew is hang-timey. Generally, the entire ride is also pretty darn smooth. You got vest restraints. I do have some issues with the theming. Some places it just seems really incomplete, especially before the ride itself. And one of the things that broke my immersion is the fact that at one point near the end, the music sounds like it gets stuck in a loop. I know that's not a roller coaster pun, but otherwise, this is a great ride. Finally, at number 1, Avengers Assemble Flight Force. I wonder how many people want to murder me for putting this as number 1.
Forming an angry mob, eh? Who we going after?
Let's point out the elephant in the room. And by elephant in the room, I mean the fact that every enthusiast alive hates this ride more than snails hate salt. Yes, people miss Rock and Roller Coaster, and yes, Flight Force is lacking in quantity of theming during the layout, but when looking at it overall, it's still a good ride.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
I, for one, cannot deny the awe I was in the queue line, which was very well themed and had a really cool experience for a Marvel fan, especially in the briefing room. Nor can I deny the amount of fun my sister and I had doing the layout. We laughed our asses off and ended off with the ride saying that was awesome to each other. The launch is great, the inversions are all intense, and there are several moments during the ride that feature additional forces that people don't talk about, all of which is taken quite smoothly as well. The existing effects in there are still pretty cool to me and a fun bonus because I otherwise still really enjoy when it's just dark.
You really adopted the dark. I was born in it.
That's a fun thing too for me. I'll be ready for the multiple death sentences down in the comments below, but I will say this coaster was freaking awesome. And it was a banger way to end the day for us. That's my countdown of the top 7 roller coasters at Disneyland Paris. One final thing I want to note is, why the hell do you have to bring your backpack on freaking everything? You have to bring your backpack with you on the train on all 3 coasters with inversions, but you can't use your GoPro.
No cameras.
Well, actually, that depends on who you ask. At one point, the operators were actually arguing with each other whether or not I was allowed to. Anyway, let me know what you think about my weird list down in the comments below, and what your own ranking is, of course. Generally, what you think about this park or other Disney parks. And otherwise, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go crying out. Bye!
Around the way,